Now, this week we have Bro Tan Leng Huat back with us to share on the series of I Want to Be Happy. And today's subtopic is Path of Success. I'm sure he's very successful with 4 children, happy children. Over to you, Bro Tan Leng Huat.
Sadhu. Indeed, I'm very happy. I have 4 children. Anyway, before we begin, let us wish our friends who are celebrating Diwali today a happy Diwali. And of course, for us, we will go and rejoice with them. They will invite us to the place and we will rejoice with them. There is another quality of the Buddha, another quality of Buddhism, another quality of a Buddhist. Yeah. Okay, this path of happiness. Today, I didn't call for happiness. I always say of happiness. So in happiness series, part 4, we say path of happiness. Part 1, we spoke about, path of success. Sorry, I say path of success. In part 1, we said path of happiness. So why I say path of happiness is because this is not a path to happiness. We must remember, Buddha's teaching is not a path to happiness. It is a path of happiness. Along the path, you see a lot of truth. You see a lot of truth that makes you happy. The truth of happiness is along the journey that we take. Okay, along the journey that we take is the truth of happiness. So we don't call it a true happiness, it is of happiness. So in the Ananda Sutta, we refer to this sutta where we said the householders also look for happiness, and what kind of happiness do you look for? See, like I've already said that the Buddha's teaching is not only for afterlife. The Buddha's teaching is for this life. How to live a good life also. The Buddha did not focus only on spirituality now, on spirituality. Okay, so here we talk about the happiness. Ananda Sutta is about deathlessness. So it is about householder. What kind of happiness do we look for? So the happiness that we look for is the happiness of earning money in a just and righteous way. For us lay people. And that's called Ati Sukha. Ati Sukha means we work hard, we accumulate our wealth, we save our money. And the happiness of being able to spend the money when you have whatever you have saved during your career. So when you come to my age where we are retired, so we sit down a bit and then we will eat into our savings. So that is another kind of happiness that we look for. There are 4 kinds of happiness the Buddha says, and I've covered this in the talk. I'm just reviewing all my previous talks. So we talk about Bhoga Sukha. Bhoga Sukha means the wealth liberally, but whatever that we have accumulated, we are able to spend with our friends, we are able to spend with our relatives, we are able to use them for some meritorious deeds today. That is the second kind of happiness that we look forward for. And not many people have this opportunity. Some of them do not have this opportunity of spending their wealth that they accumulated. So we are lucky that we can actually enjoy whatever little savings that we have. We call them wealth to make it look so big, but actually our little savings. Okay, and then again, we are happy again here is where we call Ananda Sukha means debtlessness. We don't worry about paying people. We don't worry about owing people money. We don't worry about owing people obligation, owing anything else to people. So we are free from all these debts and we can just enjoy our life, live the life to the fullest now that we are retired. There's the third kind of happiness that the Buddha have identified for us Putujanas now, householders. And then the last happiness the Buddha says is blamelessness. To live in a faultless and pure life without committing evil in thoughts, words, and deeds. That means we don't worry so much again here, correct? We don't worry about people knocking our door at night. We don't worry about anything else because we have paid all our dues well. So we can now retire in peace and in harmony. So these are the 4 things that we Putujanas, we householders look forward for. Remember, Ati Sukha, Bhoga Sukha, Ananda Sukha, and Anavajja Sukha. And of all this kind of happiness, the Buddha says, this kind of happiness actually The wise one will know that happiness of blamelessness is by far the greatest. Actually, it's very true, The Buddha's teaching are all of universal truths. Remember, if you do not have any worries now, you don't worry of people knocking on your door at midnight, how peaceful life can be, isn't it? Rather than we have got so many things that we have done not correctly in life, accumulated illegal wealth, we are afraid of people knocking on our doors at night. Correct? So now we are free from all this. So you realize that this is among the best of all these four kind of happiness. The Buddha will identify for us. The Buddha says that this will be the best, and which I'm experiencing now, these four kind of happiness. And I think it is of absolute truth. This is of universal truth. And that is the teachings of the Buddha. Okay, so I am in this position, and I can vouch that this is actually of gospel truth, universal truth, we call this, okay? And then we talk about nothing comes from nothing, of course. All these are because we have worked very hard when we were young, we reap whatever we have sowed. Correct. So we live and then we enjoy these four kind of bliss. Okay. And then part 2, I spoke about the 4 foundations of happiness, the Brahma Viharas. Through these Brahma Viharas, we can overcome. How to overcome these kind of things, how to be happy through this kind of these 4 Brahma Viharas called the Metta, there's loving kindness, Karuna, compassion, Mudita, sympathetic joy, and equanimity, which is Upekkha. So now, we have demonstrated this again. We say that for us to be happy, people around us must be happy. Otherwise, we cannot be happy alone. It is impossible to be happy alone. And I give a very simple example. That we go for a wake visit at night, where everybody is kind of very solemn, the family members will be grieving, of course. So we cannot be going there with a very happy mood and laughing our way in, isn't it? So we tend to also be very solemn. But there is a crowd, the crowd around us is solemn, so we are solemn. So that's right. The Buddha says that we must make everybody around you happy, then you're happy. Okay. Another good example is when you go to a birthday party or when you go to a wedding dinner. You see, everybody is in a joyous mood, in a festive mood. We also join in now. We go there, oh, happy birthday, oh, congratulations, things like that. So that means what the Buddha is saying here is we must make sure that the people around us are happy. Then we can be happy. Not you be happy alone and people around you are not happy. That is not possible. So that's where the 4 Brahma Viharas come to play. Maybe we will revisit some of these again today. Today we will revisit maybe all these, some of these factors will be revisited because I want to spend more time to explain a little bit more detail because I used to just touch and go on these topics. And then now we on the 3rd session, I spoke about success, isn't it? The path to success, path of success. And I spoke about how to succeed. Sorry. Okay, I'm a bit forgetful. Pardon me for my gray hair. Okay, so we talk about how to succeed. We have succeeded, we say. Yes, we have succeeded because we know that the Buddha's teaching is about gradual learning, gradual learning of Dana, Sila, Bhavana. Always remember, it is all about gradual learning, we say, and then we say that whatever training that we have, whatever knowledge that we have acquired, we must put to practice. All these must be put to practice. It's not about acquiring knowledge, Sometimes you notice people just want to acquire more and more knowledge on Buddhism. It's very good, yeah. To be an academician is also very good, but also not forgetting that you must also put this little knowledge you have to practice. That is how you can experience happiness. Experiencing happiness is about putting the things that we have learned into practice. And briefly, here we say it is about pariyatti. We talk about patipatti and pativeda. That means we must acquire the knowledge first. We must understand. After that, we have understood that there is such a thing. We must put this knowledge to practice. Only when putting this knowledge to practice, the gradual learning, then we will realize the full context of the meaning. The full context of the meaning is only you can only realize when you put this to practice. But by reading, by knowing, there's no way we can know. That's why the Buddha also said, after he has understood the Four Noble Truths in the 12 modes, then only he claimed that he is enlightened. That means he has the knowledge, he has put this to test, put this to practice, then he realized what is actually the Four Noble Truths. Then he has fully realized this from the 12 modes. He says, Dwada Sakarang. Remember, then he says, then only I claim that I'm enlightened. Failure to put to practice, failure to have full realization, we are not there yet. I will demonstrate that later, Okay. So this gradual learning of Dana, Sila, Bhavana is important now. Why is it important? It helps us to remove these three poisons in us. Remember, we always talk about three poisons in Buddhism. It's about greed, it's about hatred, it's about delusion. Lobha, dosa, and moha. Because of these three poisons have been with us for many, many, many eons. We have been living with these three poisons for many, many, many eons. And you think you can remove this in this one life? It is very good. You will try. We must put this to try. The Buddha says, now that we know these are the three poisons, we must get rid of these three poisons. Knowing the three poisons is not good enough. Knowing that this is the medicine for certain illness, no point. Take that medication, then you recover. So we know very well these are the three poisons that have been disturbing us throughout. These three poisons are the one that's poisoning our mind all the time. We have been living through this with these three poisons for many, many, many eons, for many, many millions and billions of lives. So it's not easy, but we must try. The Buddha says, now that you know, you must put to practice how to get rid of these three poisons. That is the challenge that we face. For example, we all know. I see example of not realizing, what I mean by not realizing. We all know very well. Sometimes we say that people up there, the highest man in the company is always very lonely, Very lonely life, no friends. We all down here, we can talk, go to the office, talk, chit chat, so happy, but the person up there cannot, We all know it's lonely there. And we know people up there are actually has got bigger responsibility than we have. We know, we all know that to be up there, to be number one, has a great responsibility. The power doesn't come for free, the power comes with great responsibility. Correct? Don't forget. You see? But yet, my wife was asking me, okay, supposing we give you a chance to go back to your career, would you still want to challenge to be number one? I said, yes. Correct. Although we know all this, we know. That's why I say there's no realization. The realization is not there. We know, and many of us know, but we still want. We know it is dangerous. We know it is not nice. We know it's not comfortable, but we still want to go. Because of what? Go lah. Correct. And because we have been living with this poison of materialism for so long that today you ask us to discard? No. That's why the Buddha says you must put to practice for full realization. Not knowing, knowing alone, we all know suffering. We all know cause of suffering. But how many of us can detach ourselves from this? So it's not so simple, but we have to try. So Buddhism is about gradual learning. Gradually we learn to get rid of this greed, this hatred, and this delusion. Okay? So that is what we okay, and then we also sometimes talk about, we know of global warming. People ask us about global warming, but still we find it difficult to put effort to help, Difficult, Difficult because sometimes the Buddha also see, the Buddha's teachings are all very practical. The Buddha says that sometimes it is difficult for us to put to practice all this. Okay, we talk about global warming. We use our cars less. They say you burn less fuel. Correct. But sometimes you ask me to walk in the sun to the shop, I find it very hot, Correct. I should rather drive my car also. See, we know, but it's not far, 10 minutes walk. But we still will drive. It's 2 minutes drive. But we don't want to walk for 10 minutes, because of our attachment to the sensual desires. We are so used to in the comfort of an aircon. I ask you to walk in the sun, tak boleh lah, I can't have my aircon, drive there, quickly jump out and go to the shop, buy, come back. You see? So the Buddha says, these are the cause of these are the hindrances that is causing us to not progress. They're causing us for not progressing in this kind of things that we want to do. Sometimes it is our ill will, sometimes it is sensual desires, sometimes it's our ill will, sometimes it's our laziness, the sloth and torpor, we are so lazy, after scan, never mind, things like that. And then sometimes we are also doubtful, restlessness and remorse, that is also a cause for our not contributing, I remember one of the leaders in the country also, he doesn't believe in global warming, I remember that also. Yeah. He says global warming is bullshit, you see. So you have this kind of doubt, you have this sort of doubt and remorse and doubt and all that. So how do you want to contribute when you don't believe in global warming? So it's impossible. So that's why we say realization is very important. Today, I'm sure many of us have realized that it is warmer than when we were in school. I remember when I was young, I walked to school. But today, we ask our children to walk to school. It's almost impossible. We say it's too hot today. You see? But when we were young, we walk, we walk to school. Yeah. So these are the things because we don't believe in these causes. So this is called the skeptical doubt. And then we are restless with these kind of ideas. We don't want to believe, So these are the causes of us to remain in samsara. We just remain and continue with the global warming. Eventually, you'll burn whole earth if we are not careful And then we spoke about 4 kinds of people who are clever, and then we will live from brightness to brightness. Remember, we spoke about this kind of people. Some they live in Tamo, Tama. In the Tamo, Tama Sutta, we say about those who live in darkness and they come into darkness. There are some people who live in darkness, but they move into brightness, bright into the bright. And some people who live in brightness move into darkness. Very unfortunate. There are cases like that, And then we have people from brightness to brightness. So we hope that we are among this group of brightness to brightness because we were born in a place, we are lucky to be born in a place that's conducive to practice the Dhamma. We are born in the era where the Dhamma is still available. So we are born with good friends, with Kalyana Mita who can help us to cultivate and to understand the Dhamma. So we are very lucky, we are living from brightness, and we hope that we continue this and move on to brightness. So we must remember we are the fortunate group of people who are living from brightness to brightness. We are lucky, we are very fortunate to be born in the era where the Dhamma is still available. We are lucky to be born in the era, in the place where it is peaceful. We are lucky to be born with friends that we have who can talk and share and encourage us to walk the path of the Dhamma. So these are the blessings we have in life. Don't forget. So this is called, we are going from brightness to brightness. In Pali, the Buddha calls this Jyoti Jyoti Prayana. Jyoti Jyoti Prayana. And don't go from Jyoti to Tamo Prayana. Brightness to darkness. Don't go to that. Okay? And those who are born, sometimes, yes, some people are born in darkness, Tamo, but they move to Jyoti. So Tamo, Jyoti, Praya. Very good also. Sometimes people are born in a situation where they don't have an opportunity, but they created the opportunity for themselves. So that is called Tamo, Jyoti, Praya. Darkness to brightness. So we are lucky we are in the category of the 4 groups, I'm sure. We are Jyoti, Jyoti, Prayana. Yeah. So we spoke on this in detail. And today we will touch on the path of success. Again here, why I say path of success? Because the path that we take is successful already. The fact that we know that we are taking this path, we are successful. Correct? Because you see, Buddhism promotes happiness by using the knowledge I said to you earlier of Pariyati, Patipati, Pativeda. Remember? Pariyati, Patipati, Pativeda. So today we discuss the path of success. Why we say path of success, not path to success? Because like I've said, success is very subjective, It's very, very subjective. You say this is not successful, I say it's successful. So it is the path. I think the path is important. It's not the destination. This is the path. Once you take on the path, I think you are successful. Okay? Because success, again, like I've said, is measured by different yardstick. Okay. The fact that we put effort to transform ourselves, to me, that is successful already. The fact that we have realized that we must transform is already part of success. So that's why I don't say to success. Don't wait until you transform yourself. Again, people say that's not good enough. You have to be like that. Not good enough. You have to be like that. So it is never been satisfactory because everybody has a different yardstick. So now we're talking about, again, gradual learning. Buddhism, I will stress again, is all about gradual learning and depending on where we start. Correct? Where we start. If we start in darkness, we said earlier, Tamo, and we move to Jyoti Prayana, we should be happy that we see the light from darkness. Correct? But we are born in brightness, so we want to see more bright. So it is different of what the yardstick. Okay? That's what I meant earlier. Okay? So now we talk about success again. There are many kinds of success again. So we cannot say we are successful. That's why I say the destination is not critical. Because some people go for spiritual success, some people go for material success. Yes, some go for social success. Yes, some ethical success. It all depends on what success we look for. So this success is a different thing. Let me give you an example. Difficult to understand sometimes when I speak, So let me give you an example. I remember very well this advertisement, I think this advertisement by Petronas last time. A few years ago, you see, normally during every festive, Petronas will put up very beautiful advertisements. And this is one of the best I have seen. These three ladies, this is one of the best I've seen, and I still remember very clearly. I don't have that clip to show you, unfortunately. These three ladies are all living in a nursing home. They're all living there. The children not too busy, of course, and them there. So they were talking to mama themselves. First lady said, oh, my son is very successful. He owns luxurious cars, drives certain series cars. He has a driver. He has a big house with servants, But he's a corporate figure, flies everywhere for meeting, go everywhere, flying everywhere to every country for meeting. Very successful corporate figure, but she's still in the nursing home, and he can't come to see her. Okay? Then she says that, yeah, but my son is too busy, he can't come to see me. You see, my son is very successful. Then the second lady said, oh, mine is also like that, mine has got business of his own. My son has business of his own. These are not the exact words, I don't remember the exact words, but I'm just explaining to you what how I reflected on this advertisement. The other one says that, oh yes, my son is he has his own company and setting up many companies under his name now. They're branching here and there, everywhere. And he's also very busy going around for meetings and all that. So he can't come to city. Oh, he's very successful. He has drivers. He drives a very big car, But he doesn't, he has a big house. Can't come to city. Then they look at the third lady. And the third lady, when it's her turn to speak, they've moved the camera to show you a scene where a decent young man, decent looking, simple looking, decent looking young man coming out of the car with a bunch of bananas in his hand. And that car is again a decent, simple looking Proton Saga. Well maintained, nice Proton Saga. Okay, for the benefit of people who are not familiar with our country, in case there are foreign listeners, Proton Saga is our national car. Our first national car is called the Proton Saga 1.3cc, and it is very appropriately priced. So people will buy that car. So he came out from his simple Proton Saga with a bunch of bananas, walked towards his mother, the lady, hugged her and kissed her. And the lady said, this is my son. So you got the message. He comes to visit me every day with my favorite fruit or my favorite food for me to share with my friends. That is my son. Okay, so I'm sure you got the message lah, huh? So that is how it is like lah. So how do we want to gauge success? So I say that this kind of material success is the mistaken view lah. We have a mistaken view that this material success brings you perpetual happiness, or it guarantees you happiness. So there are many ways. That's why we say it is the path of success, not the path to success. Correct? So Buddhist method of training again. Okay, so now we come back to the Buddhist method of training. How do we want to train ourselves then? So the Buddhist method of training is to calm our mind. We have covered this before. We say we calm our mind. We cultivate loving kindness. We are now revisiting the four Brahma Viharas. We cultivate our loving kindness, compassion, and then we also cultivate our generosity. Right, the dana, the dana, sila, bhavana. We must do that dana, and we must cultivate lots of patience. And that is gradual learning. So for this training to be effective, we must put this to practice in our daily lives. We must learn to be concerned for people's happiness. It's not about what we have, it's about what we can give. Correct? So it's not about what we have here, it's about what we can give. So this is how the Buddha taught us equanimity. What is the purpose of learning equanimity? So that we can detach ourselves from this cycle of craving. That produces what? This kind of craving produces dukkha. So we must learn to be equanimous and be happy with what we are. And that is the biggest secret of happiness. We have to be contented with what we are. So by achieving mental state where you can start to detach yourself, that's what I'm saying. It's the path of happiness. When you start detaching yourself, when you've understood the message of the Buddha, that is success. And we put to practice to detach ourselves from all these passions, all these extra needs and extra wants in life. You free yourself to achieve the state of transcendental bliss and well-being, and that is success. Correct? We learn to be contented with what we are. So that is called equanimity also. Equanimity is not about indifferent in feelings, Don't be mistaken that equanimity means we are different in different feelings that we have. No, it is about knowing that it is happiness, but we control our reaction to that kind of happiness. We restrain our five senses. We restrain from reacting, overreacting. So that is equanimity. Not that we don't feel, we do feel happy, but we don't overboast. In short, I think. So okay, another thing that what do we say by controlling ourselves? Restrain our five senses. We must restrain them. And that's equanimity. It's not about indifferent feelings, It's not about indifferent feelings. We also got upekka sukha. Upekka sukha. Right? That means have happiness with equanimity. It's called upekka sukha. Right? So now, if you revisit the Dhammapada verse number 1, we all know about this Dhammapada verse number 1. Now let us revisit and put it into the scale of happiness. Okay? All mental phenomena have mind as their forerunner. The Buddha has said it very clearly. They have mind as their chief. They are mind made. Whatever we do is because of our mind. If one speaks or acts with an evil mind, dukkha follows him, just as the wheel follows the hoof print of the ox. The oxen that pulls the wagon behind, but the wheels will follow the oxen's footprint. If the oxen turn left, the wheels will go left. If turn right, it goes right. So it is that our mind is forerunner. If we think good, our actions become good. If we think bad, actions become bad. So that's what it means. I will repeat. Verse number 1 says, all mental phenomena have mind as their forerunner. They have mind as their chief. They are mind made. If one speaks or acts with an evil mind, dukkha follows. Correct? Just as the wheel follows the hoof of the ox. The wheel will follow. Okay. Now, this what does the Buddha mean here is that all mental phenomena have mind as the forerunner. It's very clear, isn't it? Mind is the forerunner. In Buddhism, everything is the mind. Okay? Mind as a forerunner in the sense that mind is the most dominant and is the cause for the other three mental phenomena. Mainly feeling. Correct? Feeling is because of the mind. That's why we say is you get to control our senses. If you learn to be contented with yourself, fine. Correct? The mind says that we have to be contented. The feeling is there. But if the mind says, I want more and more and more, then the feeling becomes kabra. The feelings want more and more and more. So also perception. Perception is also dependent a lot on the mind. Correct? So these three mental factors, this feeling, this perception, and the mental formation. And the mental formation. These all have the mind as their forerunner. The mind is a forerunner for all these kind of things. So the feeling that we have, we say we are successful, of the mind. So we have to learn to be contented. Otherwise, you'll never find success. Because success is no gauge. Nobody can tell you what is success. Correct? When you become the president of the biggest country in the world, you want to become president of the world. You cannot be happy just as president of a big country. You want to become president of the world also. Correct? So you can never be happy. So that is what the mind is all about. So that's what the Buddha says. These three have mind or consciousness as their forerunner because they arise simultaneously with the mind. They cannot arise if mind do not arise. You see? So these are all simultaneous. Feeling, mind, sankara, mind, mind as M-I-N-D, mind. So feeling is due to the mind. Perception, sanya is due to the mind. And sankara is due to the mind. Okay, so these are the things all dependent on the mind. So if you can control ourselves to the upekha level, to be happy and contented with what we have, what we are, there is peace, there is happiness. That we have covered, but I'm just reinforcing. I'm just reinforcing what we have covered before. And we must remember that even our karma is because of the mind. The Buddha has said that it's volitional action, not by accident. It is volitional action that causes karma, not accidental action or you're not aware. Okay, so this is what we can tell you. So dukkha means suffering, or okay, then we say that this mind causes dukkha. And then this mind, if we are talking about mental volitional action, action due to the mind. Now I'll demonstrate to you with another story. Okay, so this action due to the mind is called volitional action, and it causes karma. Okay, not if you're not aware of it. Okay, and a very popular story we can tell you is the popular example of this. It's called the Chakupala, the story of the Thera, one blind Thera. Chakupala means blind, the blind Thera. Chaku is eyes. So the story of Chakupala. Chakupala is a blind monk. So he went to pay homage to the Buddha one day at the Jetavana monastery. So one night he was pacing up and down with his walking meditation. He's blind, but he has that space. He knows he can walk a few steps. He knows there's to turn back, and he walks up and down. He does walking meditation with a specific area. Of course, he's blind, so he walked and he did his walking meditation apart from his sitting meditation. So some people saw him doing the walking meditation in that specific area in that path. The next morning, they saw that there's some insect being trampled. They stepped on some insects. Some insect died. This monk stepped on the insect. So they complained to the Buddha. They saw him and see the Buddha. They told the Buddha that, you see, Buddha, we found that along the path where Venerable Chakupala was walking, we found some dead insects. He stepped on it, So will this affect him? The Buddha says, no. it doesn't affect him. Number one, do you know that he's blind? They say yes. So when he walked, he was not aware that there were insects there, so he stepped on the insect that he didn't know. Because he is already an arahant, he does not have that kind of intention of wanting to hurt anybody, any insect, any beings. Okay? Then the Buddha asked them whether you have seen or not. You have seen the monk killing the ants. No. Just as you have not seen him killing, so also he had not seen those living insects. He didn't see also. He didn't know. So for that, the Buddha says he is not guilty of that kind of misdeeds. Because he's not aware. Correct? So now that is why to reinforce you that actually that mind is a forerunner. Volitional action, your karma is due to the mind. If not for the mind, it is not considered. Okay? So that is briefly, and of course you can continue with Dhammapada verse number 2, it tells you the reverse. So here again, we must try to understand what the Buddha is trying to say, that we must learn to control ourselves and calm our mind so that we can see things as is. Can see things as is, and because the mind is always the forerunner. The mind is always the forerunner, so we can see things as is. So this one describes how the Buddha talk about mental dysfunction. Dysfunction begins with the mind. Now we realize that all this mental dysfunction begins with the mind. The Buddha encourages his followers to pursue tranquility and insight. Tranquility and insight as a mental quality that will lead you to the everlasting peace, everlasting happiness of Nibbana. Yeah. So of course, and then the Buddha gave us the formula that the Eightfold Path is the one that leads you But we talk about our mundane world first. We will focus more on the mundane happiness. Yeah. So after having visited all this about the mind, we talk about science now. We talk about science. So science actually can provide us with physical relief, yes. And comfort, yes. Take tranquilizer, finish, correct. But not to overcome this everlasting problem of fear, suffering, anxiety, and other mental problems. It also do not provide us with the solution to happiness. It doesn't make us happy. It can relieve you of the pain, right? It's painkiller, but it doesn't solve the issue of the pain, right? It only helps you to cure the symptoms. So there are a lot of things that actually science also cannot overcome. We say again here, we repeat, it's fear, suffering, anxiety, and other mental problems, and it doesn't provide you with happiness. It cannot. So that's where the Buddha's teaching come into play. That's where the Dhamma is coming into play, about training our mind to cultivate loving kindness, compassion, generosity, patience. For this training to be effective, we must put them to practice in our daily life. Be concerned with the happiness of others. So how to be happy? How to be concerned with people's happiness? Very difficult, like I've said, we know all this rat race is not good, but we are not rats, and we still want to race with the rats. What to do? So, okay, that is the problem. We know, and therefore, it is good. Sometimes, you notice people like to talk about death, Although sometimes I do not like to talk about death, but yes, it's a good subject. Okay. So why we want to talk about death sometimes, How to overcome this problem, How to overcome this problem. It's sometimes to reflect on death, Sometimes it's good, Why? Because death is not a negative thought. We think it's negative. Why you are talking about death? No. The Buddha left the luxury of his home to find a solution for us to overcome dukkha. Correct. For us to be happy. And the Buddha gave us a solution, but we still cannot actually realize the solution. We cannot. We know the Four Noble Truths. But we cannot understand why. So the idea of death sometimes, the idea of death sometimes helps us to counter the mistaken understanding. the mistaken understanding that material success is permanent. It helps us to understand, that this material success that we have is not permanent. And we die, we go away alone again, Right? So that's why it is nice, it is good to reflect that life is not permanent. Right? Because we will realize that material success is not permanent. Life is not permanent. Our relatives are not permanent. The people, the country are not permanent. Why go to war for the long-lasting happiness? You think that you go to war, you want to capture back this, capture that, capture this, capture that, you become happy, your country becomes prosperous for life? No. These are all not permanent. You see? So that is why sometimes when we reflect on death, it helps us to understand this. It helps us to understand, to counter the mistaken understanding that material success is permanent, that life is permanent, that our relatives are permanent, the people or citizens of the country is permanent. They go to war for their long-lasting happiness. These are all mistaken notions, if I can understand that. So we destroy lives, properties, and cause serious suffering to others, for this wrong notion of impermanence. Right? We think that these are all permanent. So we fight, cause suffering and all that. But if you're mindful of death, what will happen, if, for us Buddhists, when we talk about death, we talk about rebirth, and we are always looking for a better rebirth, we are always looking for a better rebirth. Then what do? We know that we have to be a good person in this life. So that's how it helps you. When you reflect, it helps you that way. You know that when you die, you'll be reborn. And you want to go to a better place all the time. We are always thinking of upgrading ourselves to a better place. So what do you do today? Do more charity, be more mindful, spread more metta, be more compassionate. So we do all these kind of good things to our fellow friends. And we live in a very conducive environment. The environment becomes conducive. Then we can practice more and more, and we cultivate ourselves spiritually, and we have a good rebirth. That is us. But having said that, being Buddhist, even the non-Buddhists also have that kind of notion also. Everybody has that notion that when they die, they go somewhere. Sometimes people think that when they die, they may go to heaven, they may go to anywhere else, but still, they have life after death. And that will inspire them to do good. For them to be closer to their creator, they must do more good, they go closer to the creator. You see, so this notion of death sometimes is good also to reflect that we will realize this impermanence and that we are all actually struggling for something which is not actually very useful for us in this life. And then in the Dhamma, again, we always remember that you all have recited in the Dhamma Swakato, Bhagavata, Dhammo, Sanditiko, Akaliko, Ehipasiko, Akaliko, was Akaliko, that this teaching of the Buddha is timeless. What do you mean by the teaching of the Buddha is timeless? What do you mean? We say that the teachings of the Buddha is timeless. We have just explained to you all these teachings. Why are they? Because the suffering of human today is still centered around greed, hatred, and delusion since day one of human. Go back everywhere to the first human being, you know this, they have greed, hatred, delusion. So that is why the teachings of the Buddha is akaliko, timeless, because the suffering is centered around greed, hatred, delusion since the beginning of human beings. Since we started life, we have got this greed, hatred, delusion inside us. It's embedded in us for eons and eons. That's why this teaching of the Buddha is always called akaliko. It helps you to overcome this suffering which is centered around greed, hatred, delusion for many lives. So with that, I think I will end our sharing, and I hope to continue this maybe on other things like Yatha, Bhuta, Jnana, Dasana, on seeing all this kind of happiness maybe. One day we meet again. So with that, I say thank you very much for your attention. And our takeaway today will be actually, you know why the teachings of the Buddha is called akaliko, because our sufferings are also based on things that have been going on for many eons. The three poisons have been with us for many eons. and the Buddha's teaching is still good for this. Okay? Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, over to you, Brother Terence.
Bro Leng Huat for today's sharing. Now, with that, we have accrued abundance of merits. Now, let's dedicate those merits they have accrued to all beings, whether they are seen or unseen. You may chant along with me. Akasata cha bummata devanaga mahidika punyang tam anumoditva chiram rakkantu lokasasanang ettavata cha amhehi sampadang punya sampadang sabbe deva sabbe bhuta sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Idang me nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Aspirations. Imina punya kammena mame bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yavanibbana pattiya. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you everyone for watching. For other videos, please visit the links below. Just a gentle reminder, next week we won't have a session, a live Sunday Pūjā session. We will be attending the Katina at Brahma Vihara, Melaka. Do join us if you are around. Bye-bye.